Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to be looking at the Royal Game of Ur, one of the oldest board games in the world. We've got some excerpts about this ancient game, and it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, this should be fun.
Yeah, taking us back thousands of years.
Yeah, it's really remarkable to think about this game and how it offers us a glimpse into the lives of people from over 4,000 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a game that was popular in the Middle East, way back in the early 3rd millennium BC.
hmm
And get this, archaeologists have found game boards as far away as Crete and Sri Lanka.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yep.
It really shows how interconnected the ancient world was.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting to me is that it was enjoyed by people from all walks of life.
Oh, really?
We even have evidence of the game carved into a palace wall.
Wow.
Just imagine a king taking a break from ruling just to challenge someone to a match.
That makes you wonder if they played for sport or if there were high stakes involved. So how did this game even come to light in modern times?
Well, the Royal Game of Ur was actually discovered by Sir Leonard Woolley
Oh.
during his excavations of the Royal Cemetery at Ur
Okay.
between 1922 and 1934.
Okay.
And he unearthed 5 boards, some simple,
Yeah.
and others were elaborately crafted with shells and precious stones.
So like a game fit for royalty?
Exactly, buried alongside treasures for the afterlife.
Wow. And speaking of royalty, they also found the game in Tutankhamun's tomb.
You're kidding.
Talk about a game that stood the test of time.
That's incredible.
And even more intriguing, some of the boards found in the tomb were double-sided,
Oh, wow.
with Senate boards on the reverse.
Oh, they definitely knew how to get the most out of their gaming experience.
okay.
It truly speaks to their resourcefulness and ingenuity.
Yeah.
Now, figuring out how to play a game from millennia ago, well, that was a real challenge.
Yeah, bet.
Luckily, Irving Finkel, a curator at the British Museum, he translated a clay tablet from the 2nd century BC that documented the rules.
Wow.
This tablet was written by a Babylonian scribe named Itti-Marduk-Below.
Okay.
And what's even more fascinating is that the rules he recorded were based on an even older description.
So the rules that this scribe wrote down are like finding your great-grandmother's handwritten recipe book.
Exactly.
It's a direct link to the past. So how would you explain the game to someone who's never seen it before?
Imagine a blend of backgammon and checkers, 2 sets of 7 pieces,
Okay.
and the board has 2 rectangular sections linked by a narrow bridge.
Okay.
The goal is to race your pieces across the board and off before your opponent does.
So it's a game of speed and strategy.
Yeah.
But how do you actually move the pieces?
Well, that's where the tetrahedron-shaped dice come in.
Okay.
These 4-sided dice have only 2 corners marked.
Okay.
The number of marked corners facing up determines how many spaces you can move.
So it's kind of like a mix of skill and luck.
Right, it introduces that element of chance to the game.
Yeah, so you could be cruising along and then suddenly get held back by a bad roll.
Exactly.
Were there ways to protect yourself from falling behind?
Absolutely. That's where the safe and combat squares come into play.
Okay.
Some squares offer protection from capture while others leave your pieces vulnerable to attack.
Interesting.
So it adds a layer of risk and reward to each move.
So it's not just about racing to the finish line. You have to think strategically about where you land.
You got it.
Now, I'm guessing that rosette in the middle of the board also adds a twist to the game.
You are right to be curious about that rosette.
How?
Landing on it grants you a bonus roll,
Oh, wow.
which can completely change the course of the game.
Okay.
It's a high-risk, high-reward element.
Wow, so
Yeah.
it sounds like you could be in the lead, feeling pretty confident, and then boom, your opponent lands on the rosette, and suddenly they're right back in the game.
Exactly. That's the excitement of it. Combination of luck and strategy keeps you on your toes. But remember, it's not as simple as just racing across the board.
Oh.
There are specific rules for removing your pieces from the board.
Okay.
You need an exact roll to reach the finish line, adding another layer of challenge.
So it's a game of skill, strategy, and a sprinkle of luck. Perfect recipe for an engaging game.
Absolutely.
And what about those 21 white balls that were found with one of the game sets? Were they involved somehow?
That's a great question, and it points to the possibility of gambling being involved.
Wow, pretty intriguing.
It is, isn't it?
It really is. Makes you wonder what they might have wagered.
Yeah.
Maybe bragging rights or something even more valuable. They did find the game in a royal cemetery, after all.
Right. Exactly.
But there's another layer to this as well, right? Didn't Itti-Marduk-Below mention something about tokens in the rosette?
He did. He described a system where you would place tokens in a pot when bypassing the rosette and collect tokens when landing on it.
Oh.
almost like an early form of currency within the game itself.
So they had their own little economy happening right there on the game board.
It seems so.
Now, you mentioned another ancient game called the Game of 20 Squares, which sounds very similar to the Royal Game of Ur,
Yes,
where they played at the same time.
it seems so.
Oh, okay.
The Game of 20 Squares was often found on Egyptian gaming boxes alongside Senet.
So it's like finding a vintage game collection.
It is.
Two ancient games discovered together, and each offering a window into the past.
Exactly.
What's fascinating is how the Royal Game of Ur isn't just a game. It's a reflection of the people who played it.
Absolutely. It provides clues about ancient societal structures, beliefs, and even their understanding of math.
Right.
For example, the fact that games were buried with the dead suggests they held significance in the afterlife.
Oh, wow.
Perhaps they believed that these games would be enjoyed in the next world.
So it's not just about entertainment.
Right.
It's about their beliefs and what they valued in life, and possibly the afterlife as well.
Yes.
What about the intricate designs found on some of the boards?
Well,
What did those tell us?
those designs highlight their craftsmanship and artistic sensibilities.
Okay.
It's like they were saying, we take our game seriously and we play in style.
I love that. They put so much care and detail into these boards.
They did.
It's really impressive.
It is.
What about the rules themselves?
Well,
Do you think they tell us anything about their mathematical abilities?
I think they do. The rules, with their combination of chance and strategy, suggest an understanding of probability and calculated risk-taking.
Wow.
These weren't simple games of chance.
Right.
They required intellectual engagement.
It's like they were playing 4D chess back then. It's incredible how a game can tell us so much about a civilization. What else can we learn from these games?
I think they offer insights into cultural values, beliefs, and even societal norms. Think about the games we play today. They, too, provide a snapshot of our own society and how we interact with each other.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah,
It makes you think about the deeper meaning behind the games we play.
it does.
Now let's go back to those safe and combat squares on the Royal Game of Ur board.
Right.
They seem like a crucial part of the strategy.
They were. The board's designated squares, where pieces were either safe from capture or vulnerable to attack, introduced an element of risk and reward.
Yeah.
Skilled players had to carefully consider both the potential benefits and risks of each move.
Right.
Imagine trying to maneuver your pieces into a safe zone while simultaneously attempting to capture your opponent's pieces.
It sounds like a constant balancing act between offense and defense.
It is.
And then there's that rosette adding another layer of unpredictability. You could be lagging behind and suddenly find yourself catapulted ahead,
Right.
or you could be in the lead and then whoops, your opponent gets a lucky roll and catches up.
Exactly. That element of chance is what makes it so compelling. The combination of luck and skill keeps the game engaging and the outcome uncertain.
Yeah. Now, we've talked a lot about the mechanics and symbolism of the game,
Right.
but what about the people who actually played it? What do we know about them?
Well, that's a great question.
It would be fascinating to know what their game nights were like.
Yeah.
Do we know if certain types of people gravitated toward the game or if it was something everyone enjoyed?
From the evidence we have, the game appears to have been popular across all social classes.
Really?
We found evidence of it being played by royalty, commoners, and even soldiers.
So it truly was a game that brought people together from all walks of life.
It appears so.
That's pretty amazing.
It really is. Picture people gathering in courtyards, homes, or even military camps, rolling those tetrahedron dice and strategizing their moves.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even in ancient times, people sought out ways to connect,
Yeah.
compete, and enjoy each other's company.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to consider that even though they lived thousands of years ago,
Yeah,
they shared many of the same desires we have today.
exactly.
That need for connection, friendly competition, and just having fun is something that transcends time.
Absolutely. And it highlights the power of games to connect us across generations and cultures. Who knows what other ancient games might be out there just waiting to be unearthed? What stories could they tell us?
I can only imagine the possibilities. Maybe someday archaeologists will uncover a game even older than the Royal Game of Ur,
Oh, wow.
something that predates even the pyramids.
That would be incredible. Archaeology is full of surprises.
Yeah.
There's always the potential for new discoveries that can change our understanding of the past.
For sure.
But even with what we know now, the Royal Game of Ur is more than just a game. It's a cultural artifact that offers us a glimpse into the lives, beliefs, and mathematical minds of people who lived millennia ago.
It's incredible how a simple game can bridge the gap between centuries, connecting us to people who lived in a world so different from our own.
It does. It emphasizes the importance of preserving our history and continuing to explore the secrets of the past. Each artifact, each discovery, has the potential to enrich our understanding of who we are and where we come from.
It's like we're all part of this grand, interconnected story stretching back through time.
It is. It's a beautiful way to think about it.
And the Royal Game of Ur is just one chapter in that incredible tale. It's been an amazing journey exploring this history of this ancient game.
It has been.
It really puts things in perspective.
It certainly does. And it leaves us with a sense of wonder about what other mysteries of the past are still waiting to be uncovered.
Thanks for joining us today as we explored the Royal Game of Ur.
It was my pleasure.
We hope you learned something new and maybe even feel inspired to dust off a board game yourself and connect with friends and family.
That's a great idea.
Until next time, keep the spirit of play alive.